Yeah, okay, yeah, just a second. But miss you having on stage. You'll be back next week. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing tonight? All right. Welcome to the 26th IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We're so happy to have everybody here tonight. It's a great crowd that we've got, and we look forward to honoring the pioneers, the inventors, the passionate anglers whose extraordinary contributions have shaped the sport of recreational fishing and advanced marine conservation around the world. This is a celebration not only of individual achievement, but the enduring legacy these inductees leave for future generations of anglers. I'm Eric Combast. I'm the Development Director of IGFA. I think this is my 19th induction ceremony. So thank you. Thank you. And we're in a special place tonight. We're in the Wonders of Wildlife in Springfield, Missouri. Got some friends behind us back here. It makes a beautiful backdrop. And I want to welcome everybody around the world. We are streaming live on Facebook. I know there's watch parties out there. We're just seeing a lot of good comments back there in the green room. And I want to thank Johnny Morris for inviting us here. And this is a heck of a room. You can't see it on TV right now, but this is the largest audience that we've had at a Hall of Fame in many, many years. So big round of applause for everybody that made it out here in Springfield. And what a crowd. I've got Terry Andrews, I think somewhere over in this area. Terry is a Hall of Fame inductee from 2019. We've got Mr. John Barrett, who I've had the pleasure to work with all week. John's going to be our MC this evening. He's a 2018 inductee. The one, the only, Mr. Tim Choate, right down here in front. 2016 inductee. And the loudest voice in the room, Deborah Dunaway. 2016 inductee. And I believe down here in front, we've got Mr. Steve Huff, right over here. 2010 inductee, an IGFA trustee, my good friend from Puerto Rico, inducted last year, Mr. Aji Vicente. Their presence here tonight is a testament to the enduring legacy and passion that defines the IGFA community, and that's what we're going to talk a lot about tonight. These individuals have not only shaped the sport through their remarkable achievements, but continue to inspire future generations of anglers with their leadership and dedication. We're honored to have them here tonight, and it's always great to see them come out here to the event and be with the other inductees who we'll get to in a little while. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce a good friend of mine and a distinguished leader in the world of sport fishing, Roy Croniker, the chairman of the International Game Fish Association. Roy's been the driving force of IGFA's mission. His service as an international representative, a trustee, executive committee member, laid the foundation for his leadership as a chairman. Under his guidance, the IGFA has embraced a bold vision, transforming into a self-sustaining, well-funded organization, very well-funded organization, thanks to you, that supports global efforts in education, conservation, and scientific research. Y'all also know that he's an accomplished angler, and Roy's passion for sport fishing and his commitment to preserving the health of fisheries worldwide continue to inspire all of us. My friend, Mr. Roy Croniker.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As chairman of the Board of Trustees for the IGFA, it is my highest and most wonderful honor that I can do to welcome you to this room to honor the 5 inductees this year to the Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank the presenting sponsor, Bass Pro Shop, and courtesy of the IGFA Trustee Emeritus, Johnny Morris, the Ernest Hemingway sponsors, Bonefish Tarpon Trust, Dreamcatcher Foundation, courtesy of IGFA and Trustee Emeritus Bob Rich is with us this evening. St. Grace sponsors, Bud and Mary's Marina, Rich Stanczyk's with us this evening. IGFA Trustee Andy Mill, and Wild Oceans, courtesy of Trustee Emeritus Tim Choate. The Ted Williams sponsors, IGFA Trustee Gary Carter and his wife Sherrell. I'll be very short. IGFA, I've been with the IGFA for 23 years, and I think my coworker Jason has been there for the same amount of time. So I've watched the transformation over the years, and I think in the last 10 years in our 86-year history has been the biggest transformation for the IGFA. I'll tell you that you probably know we have an accreditation from the United Nations as to being the only recreational sports group that can speak for 300 million anglers in the world. We have, under the guidance of Carlos, our previous chairman, Carlos Duncan, he helped re-establish the regional councils around the world, and Jason and I have finished that mission, hopefully now with adding Asia, we hope, during the next month or two. We're doing work. I was on a phone call with a very noted angler the other day with Jason, and he said something that gave me pause. And that was, you don't realize how much power the IGFA has around the world today. And it really made me think. And we do. Social media, the media that we have today spreads our word. We have become probably one of the more respected fishing organizations in the United States and the world. And I got to tell you, being a member of that organization and watching our directors and our staff do wonderful work is a great honor of mine. So with that, I'd like to bring in my good friend, Jason Stratweiser, President of the IGFA.
Well, hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? All right. I like that energy. Let's give a big round of applause for Roy. He does a lot of great work for the IGFA. These lights are really, really bright, so I'm having a hard time seeing you guys, but I'm going to do my best to pick out people and stay engaged tonight. But it is so good to see such a wonderful and full house tonight, and what a house it is. What a fitting place to come here and celebrate. The Wonders of Wildlife Museum has been awarded America's Best Museum and Aquarium now for 7 times. It was awarded again in 2025. It's unprecedented. So Johnny, congratulations on your vision. This is outstanding. You know, tonight, as you might expect from the name of the ceremony, is about fishing. But it's a lot deeper than that. It's more than just casting a line. It's more than just catching a fish. Tonight is about the way that fishing shapes lives and the way extraordinary individuals in turn shape our sport. For those of us that really live and breathe fishing, it can oftentimes be hard to describe the gravitational pull it has on us compared to people that maybe fish a little bit or don't fish a lot. Case in point, when I first started dating my wife, she visited my house for the first time and walked in and looked around and said, "So, you like to fish?" And I said, "Well, I do, but there's a little bit more to it. There's a lot more to it." Fishing has really guided my choices in life in terms of my education, my career, my lifestyle. It really defines me. And I think there's a lot of you out here tonight that really share that same sentiment. But for those of you that aren't even hardcore anglers or don't feel that same way, you're still here because you understand the profound way that fishing can affect other people's lives. And I want to thank you for being here. Yeah. And I was really lucky, too, that after I said that fishing defined me, my wife didn't run away. So that was also a really good thing. And so tonight we're here to celebrate 6 luminaries in the world of recreational fishing: Gary and Sherrell Carter, Gene DuVal, Andy Mill, Skip Smith, and Richard Stanczyk. Thank you. For these remarkable men and women, fishing has been the center of their lives for most of their lives. Each one of them have mastered their own part, their corner of recreational fishing, and achieved greatness over time. But more importantly, they've given back through innovation, mentorship, and conservation. One of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard in a Hall of Fame ceremony, I want to share it with you tonight. IGFA Hall of Famer and late trustee Jack Anderson once said when he was being inducted, "Fishing's a hell of a sport, and I'm just damn proud that I got to be part of it." And ladies and gentlemen, that's why we're here tonight. We're here to celebrate fishing itself, to celebrate 6 individuals whose passion, skill, and generosity have become part of its rich and enduring history. So as much as this night is a joyful occasion, it's also a somber reminder of how fleeting life can be. Since we last gathered together, we have lost 3 IGFA Hall of Famers, 2 from our 2017 year class, Dr. Eric Prince and Trustee Emeritus Peter Fithian. Both were legends in the world of billfishing from the standpoint of billfish science and also conservation and tournaments. And we mourn their loss. They left a big wake. And then just last week, we lost Flip Pallett, who most of us knew personally in this room. He inspired generations through storytelling, his Walker's Cay Chronicles. And I'd like to take a minute to remember them and know that we carry their lives in our hearts. And this Hall of Fame will forever hold what they've done throughout their lifetime. So I would like to ask for a brief period of silence. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I need to keep the show moving, but first I need to thank some people, especially IGFA Trustee Emeritus Johnny Morris. He couldn't be here tonight. I believe he's elk hunting for being our presenting sponsor. He's a great conservation partner. Johnny's also he's an IGFA Hall of Fame inductee. His unmatched passion for conservation. If you've walked around this museum, conservation is at the forefront. When you walk into the museum and you sit down, and I hope you took the time to look at the movie, it talks about how American hunters and fishermen are truly the stewards of conservation in the United States, and we deeply appreciate all that Johnny does. And I think, Eric, we have a brief video to show in Johnny's absence, so cue the video.
Hey everybody, this is Johnny Morris. I'm very sorry, mean it, not to be able to be there tonight, but I had a long time trip planned for hunting season out west here. My grandson catfish and some other buddies. What's your favorite thing you like to do? Fishing? Yeah. Who's the best fisherman you know? You? What about Grandpa? What? And who's the other guy you know that likes to fish? What's his name? What? Daddy? Who's the other fisherman you like? Say that, I couldn't hear you. Bill Dance, did you say? Anyway, we just woke up from a nap, but his other favorite fisherman is Bill Dance and his daddy and his grandpas and his mommy and his sister. But who's the best fisherman of all that group? Daddy? Okay, Dad's feeling great about that. Anyway, we just, on behalf of everybody at WOW, a great team there, Michael, Mike, Misty, everybody, the volunteers, it's an honor to host the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame. We're so proud. And we just, Catfish, if he hadn't just woke up, he'd be telling you big, loud, and proud congratulations to everyone being inducted into the Fishing Hall of Fame this evening. I was just going through that list for the last several months, and true legends, and especially in big game and saltwater angling. I bet some of you folks are feeling a little bit nervous to be so far away from the ocean right now, Springfield, Missouri. We're having a little trouble here because we just woke up from a nap, but got to salute these legends. Gene DuVal, okay, we'll start again. Just Skip Smith, Betty, congratulations, all you mean to the sport of fishing, just your passion, it's contagious. And Gary and Sherrell Carter and Richard Stanczyk. Richard, you're a hero, and just your passion. Too bad you didn't get your boys into fishing. Neither one of them seemed to care for it. Joke. And then Andy Mill. Start off a big skier somewhere along the way. Just maybe it's a trout stream out where the snow gets deep. But Betty, every one of you guys, hope you and your families are very proud. You should be. And it's, I think, you know, on behalf of all fishermen, not just the people at Wonders of Wildlife, but all fishermen around the world, thank you all for all that you mean to the great sport of fishing. How blessed are we to spend so much of our lives around a sport we all love, and it means so much to us. Just, it means happy times. And we hope you have a happy time tonight. I think, too, I'd share with you about Springfield. It's a long way from saltwater. I grew up a long way from saltwater. I love to fish and always dreamed, you know, read The Old Man and the Sea, about chasing a big fish in the ocean. And I think by the IGFA Hall of Fame being where it is, last year we hosted right at 1 million visitors through that Hall of Fame. And that kind of spreads the word of your accomplishments, but beyond that, it spreads the word of the happiness and the joy of fishing. So very proud, everybody. We're there with you in spirit. Have a happy time. And you want to tell them happy fishing? You'll have to get that camera closer, like right here. Tell them again as loud as you can. Like happy fishing? Well, happy fishing. Yeah, and last but for sure not least, Jason Trotweiler. We couldn't, Betty, you're the best. We could all, nobody could ever find a better individual to lead this organization, to lead the future of fishing than you. We all thank you. Everybody have a happy night.
So just so you know, Johnny's a very wealthy person. There's no way I could have paid him to say that. I just want to put that out there right now. And number two, I don't think Catfish was really happy about that video whatsoever. All right, guys, I'm going to keep things moving. I also want to acknowledge our sponsors because it takes a lot of work and funding to pull this together, and I want to acknowledge these people again tonight. Our Ernest Hemingway sponsors that are with us, again, Bonefish Tarpon and Trust, our great partners in conservation, thank you so much. The Dreamcatcher Foundation, Bob, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And then also to our Zane Gray sponsors, Bud and Mary Marina, courtesy of Richard Stanczyk. Congratulations on your honor tonight. And then our chairman, Roy Croniker. Thank you so much. Roy, you step up all the time. You attend all our events. I drag you all over the world for our regional councils. Can't thank you for all you do. And then again, Andy Mill, one of tonight's honorees as well. And then once more, Wild Oceans, my good friend Tim Choate. Thank you so much. I've got a few more. And then our Ted Williams sponsors, Gary Carter, who has got an absolute tribe of people here with him tonight. Thank you. That's him. That's him. So we've mentioned some of our board members, and we're just so fortunate to have a really engaged and just fun board to hang out with. They love hanging out with each other, and they really are interactive with staff, and we're really blessed. I want to acknowledge a couple of people that we haven't mentioned so far, and when I mention your name, just stand up so people can see you. Stephanie Choate. Come on, Steph. Don't... Mark Davis. Carlos Duncan, previous chairman of the IGFA. Thank you, sir. And everybody's friend here, Sammy Peters. A few more people I need to thank are our Charles, Allison, and Patty, and the team at John A. and Jenny Morris Conservation Center, and Johnny Morris's Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium for the wonderful food that we're having tonight. Finally, I want to thank IGFA staff. This takes a big team effort to put together. Eric Combass and Kim Strong are really the ramrods behind this. They do a great job every year. Barbara Sinney, our Chief Development Officer, does a lot of great work. Zach Delapena, who's here, who runs our World Records, that helps with the whole putting together bios and talking to the Hall of Famers. And then Adrian Gray and our whole marketing team at IGFA, and just everybody really leans behind this event because it's so important and crucial to our mission. So let's give them a big hand, okay? All right, I'm about to leave you, but before I do so, it is my pleasure to introduce Emmy Award-winning television producer, Hall of Fame inductee, John Barrett, a visionary who transformed outdoor television, and he did because he was a big impact on me when I was young and first started to fly fish, and brought the art of fly fishing to millions around the world. From his early days guiding on Montana's Bighorn River to creating the groundbreaking show Fly Fishing the World, John's work not only entertained, but truly inspired a generation of anglers by demystifying fly fishing, showing people how it actually could be done. His legacy spans over 2 decades, 74 countries, and countless memorable moments that help elevate fly fishing to the cultural spotlight. John, thank you very much. Come on up.
I want to begin this by saying I'm no Andy Mill, who's done this so many times, but I was very honored that I was asked to do this. And like Andy, you set the precedent. I can use my cheaters, Andy. I want to take a moment to thank Roy as well. And Roy has done something that I think anybody who gets inducted into this Hall of Fame will appreciate. Earlier this year, he presented an idea to the IGFA Executive Committee. It was a concept that was pretty simple and basic, but it creates an enduring symbol that honors those who were lucky enough to get inducted into this Hall of Fame. His vision was to craft a tangible representation of the excellence that we celebrate tonight. Now I'm honored to announce that in a collaborative effort with Van Mark Jewelers, we're officially unveiling that symbol. Here you go. This is a ring that is far more than a piece of jewelry. It's an artifact of achievement, a timeless and elegant tribute that reflects the ultimate prestige of this honor. It embodies the passion, the relentless dedication, and the lasting influence that our inductees have brought to this sport. When worn, it serves as a proud marker of their place in the IGFA history and a lasting testament to the legacy that they leave behind. And with every glance, you will not only celebrate the incredible journey of each inductee, but also serve as a constant reminder to the vibrant future of recreational angling that they have so powerfully shaped. Thank you, Roy. It's remarkable. Now for me, I remember the last time I walked down off this podium years ago, and my 12-year-old daughter, I think it was at the time, was sitting pretty close. I asked her how I did, and the first thing she said is, "Way too long of a speech, Dad." So I'll try to keep my remarks short. She'd advised me to do so. But it's an enormous honor and privilege for me to be standing up here as your host tonight. As we gather in this beautiful place to enshrine the newest class into the IGFA Hall of Fame, I want to take a moment to thank the hardworking staff of the IGFA as well. They have put a ton of work into making this thing happen, and it is a monumental task, so I want to give them one more hand. I also want to thank Johnny Morris and his team for allowing us to gather in this beautiful venue. I don't know another Hall of Fame ceremony that has quite the backdrop that this one has. And this is an intimate room, but it's such an important group of people. I'm happy to be here. This is more than just a ceremony. It's a communion, a celebration of lives deeply lived on the water, and it's a testament to the enduring spirit of our beloved sport. I also would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to pay my respects to my friend and IGFA Hall of Famer, Flip Pallett. When I started fly fishing the world, I would spend a lot of time talking to Flip. And I used to give him a bad time and tell him the reason Walker Cay Chronicles was such a highly rated program was because Fly Fishing the World was the lead-in. I know the truth. It's not the truth. Flip Pallett had a remarkable way of telling stories, sharing his passion for fishing. And it came across so brilliantly in those television shows. And anybody who had time to spend with Flip understood just how important he was and what a kind man he was to all the people he met. I'll miss Flip. I'm sure everybody in this room who knew him will miss him as well. I also want to take a moment to recognize the vital work the IGFA always plays in the world of fishing, extending far beyond simply keeping records for over 85 years. Now think about that, 85 years. The IGFA has been the global authority on angling rules, ensuring fair play and ethical conduct for anglers worldwide. Beyond record keeping, the IGFA is a staunch advocate for conservation, working to protect fish habitats and promote sustainable angling practices, ensuring future generations can enjoy this sport. Their dedication to education, conservation, and the integrity of the sport makes the IGFA the cornerstone of the fishing community. It is also the reason the IGFA Hall of Fame is the absolute pinnacle accomplishment for those who have given so much to the world of fishing. All these inductees here tonight deserve this honor so deeply. For many of us, fishing isn't merely a pastime, it's a calling. It's the quiet pursuit that defines a significant part of who we are. We rise with the sun, we feel the rhythm of the tides, we seek the profound connection with nature. It's in those moments of solitude, rod in hand, that we find a deep sense of calm, personal reflection, and almost spiritual communion with the world around us. There's something truly magical, profoundly emotional, and uniquely special to being out on the water, absorbing every nuance of its vast beauty. Fishermen don't chase glory. We chase the whisper of the wind, the tug of the line, and that sheer unselfish joy of just the experience. As anglers, we simply don't cast a line for accolades. We pour our hearts into our passion, into the ethical pursuit of fishing, and into the conservation of these precious resources that we want to leave for generations to come. For me, to be recognized years ago by this esteemed body is something that runs so deep in my soul, and it's almost an incredibly overwhelming honor when I think back about it. It's a testament to the fact that sometimes the most fulfilling journeys lead to unexpected destinations. We're about to embark on an evening that truly underscores the place the IGFA Hall of Fame deserves in recognizing these remarkable individuals being honored here this evening. Their stories will remind us that we cherish this sport, why we fight to protect it, and why the simple act of fishing holds such power in all of our lives. So with immense gratitude and anticipation, let us begin this magnificent celebration and formally welcome the extraordinary achievements of the IGFA Hall of Fame class of 2025. Now, our first inductees this evening are one of the few husband and wife duos to be inducted. Gary and Sherrell Carter. Gary and Sherrell's lifelong partnership has redefined light tackle angling, setting world records, chasing grand slams, and inspiring others through their unmatched dedication to sport fishing and each other. Let's take a look at their story.
Few husband and wife teams have made a mark on sport fishing quite like Gary and Sherrell Carter. Born just months apart in Atlanta, Georgia, Gary on December 1st, 1948, and Sherrell on February 7th, 1949. They were both introduced to fishing early in life. Gary spent time on his family farm pond catching bass with a cane pole, while Sherrell learned to fish during family trips to the mountains. In 1958, Gary's family took a road trip from Atlanta to Acapulco, Mexico. There, he watched his father land a 129-pound sailfish, his first glimpse into the world of offshore fishing. That moment stuck with him. Gary and Sherrell married at 19. In those early years, fishing was part of their lives, but not yet a passion. Gary spent weekends trout fishing in North Georgia during college, which Sherrell jokingly called his excuse to get away from the wife. In 1973, a work trip to California gave them the chance to return to Acapulco. They chartered a local boat under a simple deal, $100 for a guaranteed catch, and the trip would end once a fish was landed. Gary caught a 132-pound sailfish, beating his father's fish by 3 pounds. It remains the largest sailfish he's ever caught. Their passion for offshore fishing took off decades later. They began fishing off Stuart, Florida, targeting sailfish, and eventually made their way to the Bahamas, where they caught their first blue marlin together. Like many anglers, that first marlin encounter sparked a lifelong love for billfishing. Over the years, the Carters fished extensively throughout the Bahamas and the Caribbean. A milestone came on January 10, 1998, during a trip to San Salvador. Gary landed a 207-pound, 8-ounce oceanic white-tip shark, his first IGFA all-tackle world record, and his introduction to the International Game Fish Association. Their next IGFA milestone came during a trip to Venezuela, where several surprise spearfish releases inspired them to pursue the IGFA Billfish Royal Slam. Determined to complete the slam on their own boat, they traveled to Cocos Island, Costa Rica, to target the remaining Pacific species. They achieved their goal in May 1999. Around this time, they also developed a deep appreciation for light tackle angling, an interest that would shape the next 2 decades of their fishing adventures. As Sherrell put it, the Carter family likes a challenge. Together, Gary and Sherrell Carter have become 2 of the most accomplished light tackle anglers in IGFA history, with a combined 45 IGFA World Records. 39 of which still stand. Gary has held 23 records, including 10 billfish, 2 of which were caught on fly. All of his records were caught on 20-pound line class or lighter. He has also earned numerous IGFA Slam and Trophy Club honors, including 10 IGFA Billfish Royal Slams, 6 IGFA Billfish Grand Slams, and the rare distinction of being one of only 2 individuals to achieve both an IGFA Billfish and Tuna Royal Slam. Sherrell has held 22 IGFA World Records, 18 of which still stand. Her record portfolio includes 6 billfish records, all caught on 20-pound line class or less. Both Gary and Sherrell have received the prestigious IGFA Bob Herder Light Tackle Award, recognizing their outstanding achievements in the field. Gary's commitment to the sport extends beyond angling. He began serving the IGFA in 2001 as an international representative and joined the IGFA Board of Trustees in 2012, where he continues to support and promote the organization's mission. To this day, the Carters remain active in the sport. Sherrell's most recent records came in June 2024 while fishing for walleye and muskellunge in Minnesota. Gary's latest came in 2023 when he set the IGFA men's 20-pound tippet class world record for Atlantic blue marlin. Now based in Costa Rica, they frequently travel to marlin hotspots like Madeira, Portugal, in pursuit of big blue marlin on light tackle. In recognition of their shared dedication to sport fishing, remarkable angling accomplishments, and a lifelong partnership that embodies the true spirit of the sport, the IGFA is honored to induct Gary and Sherrell Carter into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
That's remarkable. On behalf of the IGFA Board of Trustees and our members worldwide, I am pleased to induct Gary and Sherrell Carter into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame. Gary and Sherrell, please join me on stage. That was remarkable. It's nice meeting you.
Thank you.
That's so impressive.
Thanks.
Go ahead. Podium's yours.
Okay. Wow, that is a bright light.
Have to pull this down.
You think? I need a stool. Could I have a stool too, please? No, I'm kidding. Okay. Oh, first of all, I'm very honored to be in this spot standing here tonight. I thank God for the opportunity and the blessings that were brought to us throughout our lives to bring us to this moment. When Gary and I began dating at the age of 14, I didn't realize I was signing up for a lifetime of fishing, whether I liked it or not. He would take me fishing, but instead of letting me go into the river and do what I needed to do to catch a fish, he left me on the bank to practice my casting. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but he never really let me in the river to fish. So we decided we would change that, and we would go saltwater fishing. Holding these records with the IGFA means the world to me, not just because of the records themselves, but for the memories, the people, and the places that we've come a long way to see. Every record has a story behind it, and I can tell you thoroughly we've enjoyed each one. It's been years of chasing fish across the beautiful waters, meeting incredible people, and sharing moments I'll never forget. But none of these would have been possible without the incredible team that stands beside us as we fish. Our Captain Johan, who is with us tonight. He is so devoted, he's been fishing with the two of us for 27 years. So we are delighted to have him. He is sharp on his instincts. He knows what he's doing. He always pushes us to be better. He guides us through the oceans and helps us hunt and follow our dream. And that kind of loyalty and devotion is what's been the foundation for so much of our success. Our mates and gaff men are the backbone of our journey. Early in the mornings, the long flights, the sweats and the bruises, and no one ever hesitated to work on these records along with us. Most importantly, our family, our kids, their spouses, our grandchildren, thank you. It's most meaningful for us tonight to know that every single one of you are here, that I look around the room. Sorry, I'm a crier. And our entire family is here. And that's one record that we are glad to break. Gary has been my biggest cheerleader. There's been times on the boat where there'd be a fish that maybe both of us could have caught to succeed in catching that fish for a world record or just a good catch. And he would pass it on to me and say, "You do it." And then he'd be my cheerleader, and then he'd guide me along with a lot of discipline. Anyhow, for the IGFA, we thank you. This means so very much to both of us.
Yeah, not long ago, Roy, who you all have met earlier, Roy, our chairman, he made the statement, he said, "I can remember when Sherrell used to fish with Gary, and now Gary fishes with Sherrell." And the most embarrassing part of that is I think about that point in time, I'd come into the offices of IGFA, and I was turning in 4 world record applications. 2 for me, 2 for Sherrell. Sherrell's was on 8-pound test and 20-pound test. Mine was on 2-pound test and 4-pound test, okay? Sherrell's 8-pound test was a 493-pound blue marlin, Atlantic blue marlin. Sherrell's on 20-pound test was a 568-pound blue marlin. Mine on 2-pound test was a 4-pound Orinoco peacock bass. And on 4-pound test was a 6-pound Orinoco peacock bass. So she only beat me 100-to-1 odds. But at any rate, it's been wonderful to have Sherrell join the journey, which she did a few years ago after she overcame seasickness, which I always told her it was in her head, but she actually finally came up with something that truly cured it, and now it then became a passion for her as well. But she mentioned Johan, our collar, our captain, that's been with us 27 years. He's a captain. He's sort of he's definitely a member of our family. And I'll have to say this, the absolutely best and the luckiest call I've ever seen in my experience in record fishing was off of Madeira one day, and the fish pops up. You don't get a lot of practice off of Madeira. In fact, we just finished 22 days this year with teasing 1 fish in 22 days. So you don't get a lot of practice. But anyway, a few years ago, we had a fish come up on the long left, actually. And Johan immediately, he calls 20 pound. At the time, the world record for ladies in the Atlantic was 493 pounds. And so we continue to tease the fish in, Sherrell pitches the bait, and on about the second wave, the fish is about to eat the bait, and all of a sudden, Johan says, no, 8 pound. So Sherrell was able to get the bait back in, take the rod, the 8 pound and pitch, got the bite, fought it for a couple hours, whatever. We go back to the Marina, weighs the fish, 493 pounds on 8 pound test line. All right, when I say the best call, all right, the existing record on 8 pound at that time was 490 pounds. You have to beat the record by 0.5% or something like that in order for that, or I think that's right, in order for that to be the world record, not just to tie it. So therefore, 493 pounds, she would have beat the 20-pound record by 1 pound, okay? And so that was the best call I've ever seen in my life. And then when he said, no, 8 pound, that was the luckiest call I've ever seen. And then we've had so many wonderful, wonderful times. We've also had those, I mean, you have so many times that all of a sudden, you know, it just, whatever happens. And you get in that long, long fight. And when you really get in the long fight, generally it doesn't turn out in your favor. I mean, Sherrell had one, she caught the 533 pound on the ladies 16. One day, we threw a big party in Horta. I think everybody in Horta had a hangover the next morning. We boarded the boat to go out the next morning. About 3 hours out, boom, up comes a fish that would have been the 12-pound record. In the case of the Horta fish, we caught it in a couple of hours. I'm sorry, the 16-pound line, we got it in a couple of hours, then had the celebration. In the case of the 12-pound fish, she fought it for 14 hours and 30-some-odd minutes, and then couldn't go any longer. That's after having the fish on the wire 3 different times and not being able to handle it. So that was sort of, you know, the great days that you have, and then back to back with some of the really ugly days that you have. And other cases where you may be lucky enough to encounter the fish and get the record, land the record, penny record, and the line doesn't test or whatever. So there's all those experiences along the way if you do decide to get into the record side of the sport. But more than anything, the friends that you meet, the experiences that you have, the beautiful, beautiful waters that you fish, whether it's freshwater, saltwater, whether it's the mountains for trout, or whether it's for salmon, or for whatever it might be. I mean, there's no better stadium in the world to play a sport than what God created for fishing. I mean, nothing compares. I mean, football, basketball, baseball, et cetera, nothing compares to the stadium that we have to chase the fish in the sport that we love. And I would just like to thank IGFA, the great leadership of Roy and Jason, and all of and Eric and Kim that are here today, as well as all of the staff back in the office. They do such a fabulous job to really provide what we need to protect our sport and to build it, to bring more people into it. We got to bring more people in if we're going to be able to protect it long term. And they're doing a magnificent job. I couldn't say more about that. And then for the team members that you have, whether you're blue water fishing for marlin, or whether you're, you know, you're in a trout stream, wherever you might be with a guide, or out in the flats, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's truly a team sport, and those team members have become such dear, dear lifelong friends. It's something that's more than rewarding in our sport. So at any rate, I'd just like to thank you all for being here, and I'm so humbled to be here this evening to receive the honor, and just thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're not done yet. Yeah, let's get a picture.
Love you guys.
That was so good. Here, I don't need.
No, you should.
No, come here, John.
No,
Come here.
I like that.
I could listen to your stories.
On my tiptoes.
Getting stand a little bit lower. There we go.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to do one more out here before.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I actually surprised myself when I brought my hair.
Oh my God.
So now I can take my name. Thank you.
You know, that's remarkable what I just heard from them. I'm in a room with a bunch of fishermen, and I got to tell you, one of the joys of my life is to be with fishermen and sit around a table and tell stories and hear stories, because they can go on and on and on, and everybody has another story. And I'm sure if this room were to cut it loose, we'd be here all night telling fishing stories. They won't let me do that. They prohibit me from telling my stories. That's okay. Let's get on to our next inductee, Jean DuVal. Jean DuVal's legacy as a world record angler, conservationist, and champion for women in sport fishing is one of passion, perseverance, and purpose. An inspiring journey that helped shape the future of fishing for generations to come. Let's learn more about Jean's indelible mark on angling.
A skillful angler, dedicated conservationist, and tireless advocate for women in sport fishing, Jean DuVal left a lasting mark on the world of fishing. Born on June 7, 1943 in Lexington, North Carolina, Jean was first introduced to fishing by her father on local ponds. While it wasn't a major part of her early life, everything changed after a blind date in Virginia Beach with William DuVal, her future husband. During one of their first conversations, William asked, "Do you like to fish?" 2 weeks later, they were in Bermuda, competing in the Bermuda International Light Tackle Tournament, where Jean landed her first tuna. That moment sparked a lifelong passion for the sport and for the species that would become her favorite. As their relationship grew, so did their shared love for fishing. The couple traveled frequently between Virginia, Nags Head, and Key West, always finding time to get on the water. Even while running a successful business, they found creative ways to stay connected, having important messages faxed to their house in Key West so they could respond as soon as they got off the water, giving the impression they were still working from their Virginia office. As Jean's skills developed, she gravitated toward light tackle and began learning from some of the best in the sport, including Captain Robert R.T. Trossett and IGFA Hall of Fame inductee Stuart Campbell. With their guidance, Jean began setting IGFA line and tippet class world records across her travels. Over her lifetime, Jean DuVal set an astonishing 135 IGFA world records, 80 in the line class category, and 55 in the tippet class. Even more impressive, 34 of those records still stand today. Her devotion to light tackle angling is clear. 133 of her records were caught on 20-pound test or lighter. Among them, a 35-pound blackfin tuna on 8-pound test, a 54-pound 8-ounce king mackerel on 12-pound, and a 56-pound lingcod on 12-pound test. Over 4 decades, she set records for 30 different species, fishing from Key West to North Carolina, Bermuda to Alaska, and she often brought her family along, sharing her love of fishing with her grandchildren whenever she could. But Jean's passion wasn't limited to the water. In the early 1970s, she and her husband helped found and fund the Conservation Council of Angling Clubs of Virginia. She was equally passionate about inclusion in the sport. Jean became a driving force in the International Women's Fishing Association, serving in multiple leadership roles: trophy chairman, rules chairman, tournament chairman, and district representative chairman. She worked closely with other influential women in the sport, including Lisa Booth and IGFA Hall of Fame inductee Joan Vernon. In 2005, Jean was inducted into the IWFA Hall of Fame. Jean was also a generous mentor. On fishing trips, she often took time to teach other women, sharing techniques like knot tying with patience and care. While living in North Carolina, she helped establish a children's tournament alongside the renowned Alice Kelly Ladies Billfish Tournament, encouraging women to bring their kids and pass on a shared love for the sport. Above all, Jean cherished the joy of fishing with others. Her goal was never to break records, though she broke many, but to create lasting memories on the water with the people she loved. Those who had the chance to fish with Jean DuVal didn't just witness a great angler. They experienced her warmth, her wisdom, and her unwavering passion for the sport. For her incredible accomplishments as an angler, her passion for conservation, and her advocacy for inclusion in the sport of fishing, the IGFA is proud to induct Jean DuVal into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
On behalf of the IGFA Board of Trustees and our members worldwide, I'm pleased to induct Jean H. DuVal into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame. Now, Jean passed away in 2007. However, here with us tonight to accept her induction is her daughter, Renee. Renee and family, please join me on the stage for this honor. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good evening. The lights are very bright up here. I just want to thank everyone here at the IGFA for, it's just been, since we were first told about this award, it's been very humbling, but the people in the IGFA have just been wonderful. I can't say enough great things. Kimberly Lewis, she and I have been like joined at the hip, and they've just been wonderful to me and my family. Like they said, I'm Renee DuVal, Jean DuVal's daughter. It is such an honor to be here tonight celebrating my mom and other IGFA inductees. My mom would have been so honored and proud to be inducted into the IGFA Hall of Fame. She loved to fish. It gave her so much joy. As you heard in the presentation, my mother only started to fish so she could spend time with my dad. Then she got the bug, that's what she called it. But it was always about spending time with my dad, doing something they loved so much together. They worked hard together, they fished hard together. As a family, every weekend, every holiday, every vacation was spent fishing. Mom and Dad traveled all over the world fishing and meeting friends and extended family, some who are here today. Fishing was a cornerstone in our family. She joined the IGFA and the IWFA. She served on many boards, as you heard. She caught over 100 world records, fished in tournaments all over the world, hosted the Key West ILTT. All of these were honors she was so proud of. But at the end of the day, it was her family and her grandchildren that were her greatest accomplishment. When my sons, Sean and Stephen, were born, Stephen is here tonight along with my granddaughter, Lennon. It was all about teaching them the art of fishing and sharing all of the beautiful places in the world they could enjoy the sport. Then came Elise, her youngest granddaughter, who she also shared this wonderful gift. Elise and her husband Daniel are here tonight as well. Mom loved being on the water with her friends and family. She loved introducing people to the sport and the thrill of the catch, especially children. Her best friend Lisa Booth and daughter Annie, who are here, and son Wilkes traveled and fished with us all over the world. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up her favorite captain, R.T. Trossett, who's here tonight. She adored him. He was a dear friend, as well as his wife, Lisa. Mom would have been thrilled to have all the people who she shared so much time with fishing and laughing and loving with her here tonight and celebrating her. She would have been so humbled. Last night I was having dinner in the hotel with Stephen and Lennon, and he said something I had to share tonight. He said, "What I remember most about Grandma and fishing, it is how she loved to see other people experience the thrill to catch a fish. She would see a fish come up or hit a line, and she would immediately jump up and yell, 'Sean, Stephen,' or whoever else was on the boat, and tell them to get the rod. She would coach them along, and she would be just as excited, if not more, that they caught the fish as if she would have caught it themselves. That was my mom. Many here tonight got the honor of knowing and or fishing with her. If you ever met her, you would understand. She had a smile that would light up a room. She was one in a million, and what a gift it was for me to call her my mom, and an honor to accept this induction in the IGFA Hall of Fame on her behalf. I would like to thank the IGFA for presenting her with this great honor. It's been such a blessing reliving all of these memories and sharing them with friends and family who never got the privilege of knowing her, and most of all, being here tonight, surrounded by the people who loved her, and the next generation who will know her by sharing the stories and celebrating all she taught each and every one of us and continues to teach us every single day. Thank you. Sure. This is my niece, Elise.
Good evening. I'm so proud to stand here tonight with my family to honor my grandmother, Jean DuVal. Throughout my life, anytime I've been asked the question, who's your hero, the answer has always been my grandmother. The past couple of months preparing for this event, my family has been able to reflect more on her accomplishments and the mark she left not only on the IGFA, but the women anglers all over the world. I know my father, John DuVal, and my grandfather, Bill DuVal, are right with her smiling all over everyone tonight. Jean DuVal will always be my hero. In the words of Louis Armstrong, what a wonderful world.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Jason's going to come up for a photo.
Oh, thank you, Jason.
Slide this thing down.
Okay.
That was beautiful.
One more to chairman.
Be careful going down the stairs. I almost fell. Well, this next inductee, I feel a particularly special connection to, Mr. Andy Mill. In the very first year, I decided to create this television series called Fly Fishing the World. I invited Andy and some tennis partner of his to join me in Belize. Although Chrissy was pretty well known, it was really Andy I wanted to meet because I'd already heard of his fishing. It took me about 2 minutes to realize Andy Mill is a master fly fisherman and a much more magnetic personality on camera than I ever was. The chance I had to spend time with Andy burned a hole into my memory that I never forgot. So that moment came around full circle a few years ago when Andy Mill inducted me into this very Hall of Fame. I get to return the favor now, Andy. I get to return the favor. Andy's remarkable spirit knows no bounds. A former Olympic skier who transitioned his drive from competitive ski slopes to the saltwater flats. Andy's an elite athlete, a master fly fisherman, an incredible storyteller, and his legacy continues to this day. Let's learn a little more about Andy Mill.
Andy Mill's remarkable journey from Olympic skier to elite fly fisherman is a testament to a competitive spirit that knows no bounds. Born on February 11, 1953 in Fort Collins, Colorado, Andy spent his early years skiing in the winter and fishing in the summer. He was introduced to fly fishing by childhood friends, and at age 12 learned to tie flies with the help of Chuck Fothergill. His first fly, a renegade, proved successful on the Roaring Fork River, where a trout rose and took it right in front of him. That moment sparked a lifelong passion for the beauty and nuance of fly fishing. Growing up in Aspen, Andy also developed a deep love for skiing. He eagerly awaited the first snowfall each year, ready to hit the slopes. He joined the Aspen Ski Club and began competing in downhill events across Colorado. At just 12 years old, he won the JC Junior Nationals, a prestigious event showcasing the country's top young skiers. By 16, Andy was named to the U.S. ski team. He went on to compete internationally, becoming the top American downhill skier from 1974 to 1981. Andy raced in 2 Olympics and 4 World Championships.
Andy Mill from Aspen, Colorado. It's kind of a miracle that Andy's even in the race, Frank, because last summer he had 2 knee operations. On top of that, he was injured. He had a boot top bruise in training and had to miss one of the days earlier this week. But last year, in the pre-Olympic race on this very same trail, he was 5th, so he has a pretty good feel for it. And we'll see how Andy's doing.
His performance at the 1976 Winter Olympics in Innsbruck, Austria, where he placed sixth despite skiing on a severely injured leg, earned him the Olympic Spirit Award.
He hasn't had much training this year because of his injuries. That's the little guy. And look at him take some air off that bump break. He's Andy Mill driving hard.
After retiring from competitive skiing, Andy transitioned into broadcasting, spending 2 decades covering Olympic Games, World Championships, and network specials. He also hosted and produced Sportsman's Journal with Andy Mill, a show that brought the thrill of fishing into homes across the country and showcased some of the world's premier angling destinations. Andy's competitive drive didn't fade, it simply shifted to the water. He found a new outlet in tournament fly fishing, where his focus and preparation led to extraordinary success. Andy has won more invitational tarpon fly tournaments than anyone in history. His record includes 5 Gold Cup tarpon tournament victories, the most prestigious event in saltwater fly fishing, along with 6 Golden Fly wins and a Don Hawley tarpon tournament title. He also won the Fall Fly Invitational Bonefish Tournament and the Del Brown Permit Tournament, becoming the first of only 3 anglers ever to win bonefish, tarpon, and permit tournaments on fly. Andy approached each event with meticulous preparation and unwavering confidence, always believing he would leave victorious. Andy's influence extends beyond the water and into the written word. He's the author of A Passion for Tarpon, widely regarded as the definitive guide to catching tarpon on the fly. In the foreword, former U.S. President George H.W. Bush wrote, "Andy Mill knows tarpon as well as anyone alive. Many experienced guides in the Florida Keys say he's the best they have ever fished with, maybe the best who has ever fished tarpon with a fly." High praise from a fellow angler and a testament to Andy's unmatched expertise and enduring impact on the sport. In 2020, Andy and his son Nicky launched the Millhouse Podcast, a show dedicated to preserving the stories and legacy of the outdoors. Through in-depth conversation with innovators, legends, and pioneers, the podcast has become a trusted source for education and storytelling in the fishing world. Andy's dedication to conservation and the sport has earned him respect across the angling community. He currently serves on the International Game Fish Association's Board of Trustees, is a founding and emeritus board member of Bonefish and Tarpon Trust, and sits on the honorary advisory board of the American Museum of Fly Fishing. His contributions have been widely recognized. Andy is a member of both the Aspen Hall of Fame and the Colorado Snow Sports Hall of Fame. In 2022, he received the Kurt Gowdy Memorial Media Award from Bonefish and Tarpon Trust, honoring individuals who advance saltwater conservation through media and storytelling. In recognition of his numerous tournament victories, his lasting impact on the sport of fishing, and his dedication to preserving its greatest stories, the IGFA is proud to welcome Andy Mill into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
Give me a hell yeah! Oh, man. This is the inner sanctum, right? You don't dream of ever being inducted into a Hall of Fame. We dream of chasing dreams. As a skier, you know, my whole life I was trying to chase that Olympic glory. Luckily enough, I had a chance to chase, fishing dreams. And there's a great quote by John Buchanan, who penned it in the 1800s. He said, "The charm of fishing is the pursuit of something that is elusive but attainable, a perpetual series of occasions for hope." Right? So throughout our lives, we have this great hope. And when I got the call that I was going to be inducted here, Jason called me. He said, "Who do you think we could have to MC the event this next year?" I immediately started crying. And it was kind of interesting because we've lost a lot of great heroes, icons, these people that have set a standard and raised the bar that we will never touch. We might be better, yeah, as anglers. But when I received the call, I was moderating a service for Bob Popovich, who was a great icon in the Northeast. And all of his friends were on stage, and we had done a podcast with him the year before. And everybody was, speaking about this guy. And Jason gave me a call. It was right afterwards. I'm sitting in the back of the room, and I've got a lot of people around me that want to talk about the podcast. And I was just kind of checking out because I was kind of emotional. And Jason called, and right and I started tearing up. And all these people around me, because I was on the phone, and they thought, wow, somebody died. and I hung up. I said, no, it's all good. It's all good, man. No one died. But this is something that fishing gave me a second chance. As an Olympic skier, I was not that good. I got 6th in the Olympics. I got 5th in the pre-Olympics. I got 4th in World Cup skiing, but I never won at that level. I was a good skier. I was not a great skier because great skiers win the Olympics, right? If you think catching a fish on light tackle is hard, try flying down the side of a mountain at 80 miles an hour on a couple sticks under your feet. And the repercussions of breaking a fish off is a lot different than breaking your neck and your back and your leg, which I did in 1981, which ended my career. But that fishing world gave me a second chance. And tonight, I just want to say I'm humbled beyond my ability to fully express how profoundly honored I am to be receiving this incredible recognition. This award has been bestowed upon many historically impactful people. Many I've known closely, and few have become my mentors and heroes. After tonight, to have my name spoken in the same context as theirs fills my heart with one of the most impactful joys I've ever known. I'd like to thank Roy Croniker, our president, Jason, both these guys have become great friends, and every one of our board members for your vote of confidence that I'm worthy of this induction. I'd also like to thank our staff, volunteers, and our 249 reps around the world that work with us in making sure the IGFA remains one of the most important organizations in conservation, for setting the ethical standards for how we fish and conduct ourselves in the water while documenting world record catches. I want to congratulate Skip Smith, Gary, Sherrell, Richard Stanczyk, and Jean DuVal on all that you did to deserve your inductions. Having an all-American class this year is very unusual, and I'm ecstatic to be a team member. I also want to thank Steve Huff, who 2 years ago wrote a letter nominating for this incredible award, this honor, this induction. We were right over here in the corner when Dean Butler was inducted, which resulted in one of the worst, greatest hangovers of my life. Aussies do that to you, right? And we were right over here, and Steve goes, how come you're not in this Hall of Fame? I said, well, somebody's got to induct you to get it started. Not knowing that actually Steve said that right then, he said, the letter writing has begun. So Steve Huff, to have you nominate me, being the greatest voice in all of fishing. Here's a man who pulled a 16-foot skiff his entire life. He's not only in this Hall of Fame, but he's in the Captain and Crew Hall of Fame, which is a Hall of Fame for marlin captains, right? That's how inspirational you are. He taught the world to go chase your own story with the most amazing ethics, humility you've ever seen, and the greatest passion for the fish that he loves so dearly. No one in this entire sport has worked harder than Steve Huff, and to have you be a lifelong friend and to do what you've done. It's like a voice from above that says, I'm your pal, and I'm going to make this happen. Thank you, Steve Huff. I'd like to thank my family and friends who took the time and inconveniences to be here. You got to give it up to the BTT family. My God, if you take a look at these guys, you know, BTT is a science-based organization, one of the most important organizations in conservation. Conservation is based on science. Science is expensive, so I work for these guys, try to raise money. And all these gentlemen right here, you are my family. And these guys over here, it's kind of interesting because in sports, in ski racing and sports, you're not really kind of connected with nature. And like what Gary Carter said, God gave us this great platform, this great stage to be a participant. And I've never been more connected to my inner voice than when I've been on a water fly fishing by myself. That's when you hear your true inner energy as to who you are and who you need to be and where you want to go in life. And I'm so fortunate to have fishing in my life because it has made all the difference. I want to talk briefly about my sister Cindy. She's here. We had the most amazing parents. We had a father that played the accordion terribly. He smoked cigarettes, and we complained to him every night, begging him to stop smoking, stop yakking on that accordion. And then about 10 years later, he went to the store and got a bigger, louder one. But they were the best. They were the best. And when I least expected, I've been divorced 3 times. I've been around the world 16,000 times. And when people say, hey, I really want you to help me catch a tarpon, I said, okay, well, this is what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you at least a few $1 million and maybe a couple ex-wives. But believe me, it's worth it. And then you find somebody as beautiful and heartfelt and an angelic as my beautiful Brooke Topple. Thank you for coming in my life when I least expected it. Nicky has been my best friend ever since I can remember. Ever since he was a little kid, he was always on my shoulders. I had him by the ankles. Dude, you're my best friend. You really are. You have become my hero, not only through your voice and your vision of our podcast, but how you've become the parent that you've become. You and your wife and this little kid are just absolutely spectacular. And when he asked me, he said, Dad, we should do a podcast. And I said, what's a podcast? Right? Well, our goal has been to preserve all the stories that are going to go away unless we cement their stories and legacies for the rest of time. The icons and Hall of Famers are important, yes, but so too are those individuals that are not as famous and have also helped greatly define our fishing culture. This is all about who we are and where we came from. History is too valuable to let slide away with time. I believe we have zero chance of knowing where we're headed if we don't know where we've come from. That covers the spectrum from how we catch a fish to how we can preserve and extend their life through conservation and habitat restoration with extensive scientific knowledge to help ensure that what we are doing is correct. This is the most important work any heartfelt angler will ever do. People know how important this is, Nicky. This is all you. Millhouse was your brainchild, your vision. The greatest thing is you and your parents, though, and that young kid. I want to thank Flip Pallet. I was in my early 30s when I first saw Flip's show, Walker's Cay, like many people. I saw them on a Saturday morning from my home. I was at 8,000 feet surrounded by snow. I could not have been further away from that incredible ocean and all those giant fish that he caught every week, marlin, tarpon, bonefish. It was glorious and exciting. I was already a trout fisherman, but this was different. I wanted to be in the saltwater game, and when the timing was right, I dove in head first. A fish called tarpon got under my skin, and it gave me a second chance. I didn't find my end game as a skier, but thankfully I did as a fisherman. But no one wins alone, and I have to thank these great captains and friends I won with. Dustin Huff, who was here. Dustin, this is the first family of flats fishing. You and Chad and your dad, I am so honored that you guys are here. We won the Del Brown, and it was really important for me to actually have your name on that trophy because you and your dad caught more permit for Del Brown than anyone. And it took me 3 years to get Dustin to fish this damn tournament with me. I mean, my guy, we played golf. Dustin, we got to do it. No, he wouldn't do it. 3 years later, I said, we'll just fish it one time and win, and we did. He's my man. Doug Kilpatrick is right here. One of the most incredible human beings you'll ever know. We slaughtered tarpon left and right, not killed him, but you know what that means. Harry Spear was my mentor. If I had Harry Spear as a ski coach and as a ski mentor, I would have been a lot different as a skier. I would have won a pile of stuff because Harry Spear, he actually broke down all those moving parts and moving pieces, and he got me connected, and he groomed me to be a tournament fisherman. So Harry Spear, I love you for the rest of my life. I'm sorry I'm using the F-bombs, but I think fishermen know what that F word is, right? Oh my God. Timmy Hoover, we won 5 Gold Cups, Paul Tejera and Rob Fordyce. I will never forget the challenges and the accomplishments that we all did together. And I'd like to take you back here briefly to the 1980 Olympics. I skied in that event. And the men's downhill was the premier event, and that was the first event that, for all the Olympics, that was always held. And then I was just kind of voyeur to all the other events. And I went to the men's hockey game. How many of you remember the American hockey team when the Americans beat the Russians, right? Well, here were a bunch of young Americans that were amateur playing against a Russian team filled with NHL hockey players, professionals. And Al Michaels, the commentator, I later saw the event on TV because I was there. I got so drunk, actually, I couldn't find my car. I had to wait for all the cars to leave to find my car. It was one of the most historical events in all of sports, and I later learned that on the live broadcast. Al Michaels referred to that American win as the miracle on ice. Do you believe in miracles every time they scored and then they ended up winning? Well, tonight is my miracle. This is my gold medal. Until my last breath, I would be filled with gratitude for this honor, my amazing family, and all my wonderful friends. Thank you. Hell yeah, right, come on.
Come on with Roy over here. Come on.
I think we can all agree fishing is better because of Andy Mill. And I don't just say this because of Andy Mill. It's because of all the inductees in this room and all these people sitting around all these tables that I'm going to get your guys' number from Andy, believe me. I have friends in Montana, a friend in particular named Sean Largay, who showed up when I was inducted in the Hall of Fame. And when I think we found a bar. There was one in Springfield at the end of that night. And Sean looked at me and he said, "Barrett, for you to be in the Hall of Fame before Andy Mill is shocking." Sean Largay, here you go. Andy's in. Let's now turn our attention to another titan of the sport, Skip Smith. Skip's remarkable career has seen him transition from a passionate youth fishing for marlin in Florida to becoming a globally recognized captain who set numerous IGFA World Records. Through his innovative light tackle strategies and his pioneering work on the legendary boat, the Hooker, Skip has truly pushed the boundaries of what's possible in big game fishing. Captain Smith's legendary career shaped the very fabric of sport fishing. An innovator, a mentor, and a pioneer whose impact reaches far beyond the helm. Here's a closer look at Captain Skip Smith's remarkable path into the IGFA Hall of Fame.
Captain Skip Smith is widely regarded as one of the greatest captains in sport fishing history. Born on July 14, 1955 in Denver, Colorado, Skip was raised in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where his family owned the Captain Bill drift boat out of Bahia Mar Marina. He started fishing at just 5 years old, baiting hooks, helping guests, and eventually collecting money from passengers. Summers and weekends were spent on the water, and as his passion grew, so did his ambition. Despite his father's advice to stick with drift boats, Skip set his sights on charter fishing. At 18, he got his first job as a mate, and on one unforgettable day, the boat landed a white marlin. From that moment on, he was hooked. Skip later transitioned to longline sword fishing, where he found early success. But in 1979, a serious injury to his arm and hand forced him off the water. While recovering, he took a mating job in Texas, where fate stepped in. There, he met IGFA Hall of Famer Jerry Dunaway, who offered him a position aboard his boat, the Hooker. Though Skip had planned to return to longlining, Jerry's persistence convinced him to take the opportunity that would define his career. In the early years aboard the Hooker, Skip fished across the Caribbean, from Belize to the Bahamas, and competed in top tournaments like Poco Bueno in Texas, where the team claimed victory in 1981 with a 420-pound blue marlin. In 1983, Skip persuaded Jerry to move their operation to Panama. Drawn by the promise of its world-class fishery, there they began fishing light tackle with the goal of setting IGFA World Records. The early years brought challenges, lines over testing, and someone else submitting a larger fish before they did. But by 1986, they had their first record. It was the beginning of something extraordinary. Over the years, Skip guided anglers to 49 IGFA World Records, most of them for billfish on light tackle. Among the most notable, Jerry Dunaway's 109-pound swordfish on 8-pound line in 1986, Deborah Dunaway's 109-pound 12-ounce Pacific sailfish on 4-pound line in 1989, and Michelle Craig's 128-pound 9-ounce swordfish on 8-pound line in 2004. All three records still stand today. In 1987, Jerry purchased the Madam, a 110-foot oil supply boat that, after a major refit, became the mothership for the Hooker. Together, they form one of the world's first global mothership sport fishing operations. For 4 years, Skip captained both vessels as they traveled to the world's top fishing destinations. Skip's impact extends far beyond the helm. He's contributed to Marlin Magazine and other publications, sharing stories and insights from a lifetime on the water. He also authored Tales of a Hooker and Her Madam, a book chronicling his global adventures with Jerry and Deborah Dunaway. As president of Smith Merritt Insurance, Skip uses his decades of experience to provide specialized insurance solutions for the sport fishing community. In 2002, he launched the Custom Shootout in the Bahamas, a tournament that benefits multiple charities. In 2015, he expanded his efforts with the Shootout, drawing top teams from around the world. Throughout his career, Skip has mentored countless mates and aspiring captains, generously sharing his knowledge and passion. His travels introduced him to many of the sport's top crews, forging lifelong friendships. Inspired by their legacy, Skip founded the IGFA Tommy Gifford Award in 2011, an honor recognizing legendary captains and crew who've made lasting contributions to recreational angling. He continues to chair the IGFA's legendary Captain and Crew Committee, guiding selection of each year's honorees with the same dedication he's shown throughout his life. In 2022, the committee proudly honored Skip with the IGFA Tommy Gifford Award in recognition of his outstanding contributions and achievements. For his charitable efforts, contributions to the world of angling through publications, and for his incredible career as an angler and captain, the IGFA is proud to induct Captain Skip Smith into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
As Skip comes up to the stage, I'd like to read a passage from Rick Salway, a friend of Skip's. Rick wrote, "While the IGFA will rightly highlight Skip's remarkable leadership and contributions to the sport fishing community from the bridge, it's also important to recognize his impact beyond the water. The sport fishing world owes Skip a debt of gratitude for his influence within the insurance industry, particularly in the realm of custom yachts and the complex navigation needs that come with them." Skip Smith, well done, my friend.
Thank you.
Well done.
Hell yeah! Back to you. Well, if you haven't noticed, I'm the guy in the wheelchair tonight. Had a little sciatica flare up. I shouldn't say little. Anyhow, this light is hell. But good evening, everyone. I was going to wing it, but a couple of the drugs they gave me knocked the crap out of me, so I'm going to read a little bit here. I would like to thank the IGFA for this unbelievable honor. Pretty crazy. Old drift boater like me getting in here. Very humbling, as Andy said, everybody else said. I'd like to also congratulate the fellow Hall of Famers that were inducted tonight, Gene DuVal and Gary and Sherrell, and of course, Andy just took the stage here a while ago, and Richard Stanczyk you'll hear from next. As many people have said here already, you don't get this honor by yourself. So many owners, crews, and mentors I need to thank, but I'm not going to start listing tonight. I'll be here all night. About 1973, I went into Landmark Bank, which at the time was located on A1A in Las Olas underneath the Holiday Inn. I needed to deposit my $15 that Eddie Herbert had paid me for our half-day trip. Once I walked out the door, there was a little store inside there. It said IGFA, and I could see fishing tackle. So I had to go in there and check this place out. And this gentleman comes up and introduced himself. His name's E.K. Harry. He says, "Look around. This is Alfred Glassell's. This is so-and-so." So I got to touch it and feel it. Man, I was blown away. It was crazy. So that was my first experience at the IGFA, because as a charter fisherman, the only things I knew was, "Do you want to mount that fish?" I didn't tell you pick up a rod or nothing like that. So it was quite the experience to be able to enjoy the IGFA even back then. Anyhow, I had many careers. It sounds like I still got a lot of careers, listen to that thing. But I worked for my dad. My dad is in the Hall of Fame, University of Miami, for football. But he was taking me to work every day on the captain bill. And It was a hell of a beginning, gaffing kingfish in front of 30 people and trying not to knock them off the hook. It was pressure right off the bat. Then working with Eddie on ADOC, and then into my longline days, and then Jerry Dunaway. I told him no the first time he tried to hire me. He wanted to go to all the wrong places at the wrong time, and next thing you know, he got me. Anyhow, his passion was incredible. Just after we got together, my passion, his passion, and his checkbook went a long ways there. It brought us to places we never thought we'd adventure to. One of the neat things about Jerry was when we did get the Madam and everything, we reached out to all the IGFA reps. They were the whole secret everywhere we went. You know, they'd been fishing in their areas. They knew every spot. You know, it was incredible. Jerry always invited them to dinner on the boat, and everybody wanted to see the Madam and stuff. So it was, IGFA was really good to us. So after chasing world records around the world with Jerry, and then we built the GNS boat. Right, Gary? GNS boat? He's got one. Anyhow, then came the Madam. What a challenge that thing was. Putting it together, then building a ramp to haul a 48-footer out the back deck to go fishing with 37,000 gallons of fuel, enough groceries for a couple of years. It was crazy. What a challenge that was. And then one day, oh, there's no back on this thing. And then one day, my back's acting up, went to lean back. Jerry met this girl named Deborah Dunaway. And first marlin she saw, I think she screamed so loud from the edge in St. Thomas they could hear it all the way to St. Croix. And the blue marlin still teased in, I don't know how. But anyhow, it was a hell of a relationship having both of them to fish with. And one trip we were in Senegal, and Jerry fought about 10 different fish, broke the line, everything happened. He finally caught a fish. Okay, Deborah, it's your turn. First bait over the side, 65-pound sailfish on 2 pounds. She's done. Okay, Jerry, you get to go again. But she's very, very lucky. If you don't believe how lucky is, look at her wrist. That damn bracelet kills me every time. She's got all these world records. She doesn't look like Mrs. T, but on the ankle, the wrist, it looks pretty big. Many of the catches we had, I'm not going to sit here and go over them, but we've had some great ones. I can't even explain all of Deborah's. One of my favorites was we were fishing in Costa Rica for records there, and it was really slow, so we went sail fishing, and Marglove, I told her to throw a 4-pound, and she throws it, and fish eats it. The water's a little dirty, and next thing you know, this blue marlin jumps behind the boat. And we ended up catching it 9.5 hours later, 162 on 6-pound with only a 100-pound leader. So when people used to ask me about 4-pound, yeah, a lot of people go, Skip, what's the trick to that light tackle fishing? I'd say having enough money to keep trying it till you do it. We never had too many of those no-brainers where you hook up and the fish shakes his head and they gaff it like everybody thinks you do. So with Dick and Marg meeting them, they were chartering us on the hooker over in Australia, and he tried to hire me, and then next thing you know, Jerry had some personal trouble, and we thought he's going to have to sell the boats, and I took a job with Dick Love, who kept saying, what are you going to do after fishing, Skip? And I said, I don't know, and he said, why don't you get insurance? I said, that sounds great. And when Jerry told me he had a personal problem, I said, Dick, about that insurance and building a new GNS. So that's how I got off the boat, and it was a blessing because after starting the insurance and getting the agency going, I just happened to meet some world-famous guy by the name of Roy Merritt. So I got to work out at Merritt Boatyard and be Roy's partner for 30 years. 30 years. Thank you, Roy. Where's Roy Merritt? Everybody know Roy Merritt? Merritt Boats? Roy's dad, Alan, and his uncle are in the Hall of Fame for all the tunas that they caught and all the, they had more inventions than anybody, more tricks up their sleeves. They won the tuna tournaments. They won everything that came about. They were really great fishermen and really great stories. At the end, we'll talk to them while they were here. And then my other favorite fishing story. I only got two for you. It was the one you saw here, the 128-pound swordfish on 8-pound that Michelle caught, who's here tonight. But the neatest thing about it is Hunter Craig, her husband, wired the fish, and their son, Hunter Jr., gaffed it. And we threw it in a boat, and I'm jumping up and down ecstatic, and they're all looking at me, what the hell's a big deal? I'm like, it's a freaking world record. So after about 6 IGFA auctions, Michelle finally figured out how special it was. And now she really knows. Oh, okay. Do what? We love you too. Back in 2001, Dr. Harry Shuffleberger and Steve Roy came into Roy's office wanting to start a tournament called the Custom Shootout, be similar to the old Bertram Hatteras tournament. And they said, yeah, Roy, we're going to have the builders pay for these boats to fish this tournament. We're going to raise money for the 9/11 catastrophe that just happened. And Roy goes, you guys got it all wrong. The builders don't have the money. It's the owners of the boats, man. You got it wrong. And they go, well, we need some help. He goes, go upstairs, Skip's up there. So anyhow, I got involved in the tournament, and they ran it for the first couple of years with my help. And about the 3rd year, they go, this is too much for us. It's yours. So now for over 23 years, we've been donating about $100 grand a year, which equals about $2 million to different charities. During Hurricane Dorian, I sent out an email to all the people that fished the tournament. We raised $200-something thousand. I was able to put roofs on the employees' houses, not give it to anybody else to deal the money. We handled it ourselves, and we bought a trailer full of food for Thanksgiving that was right afterwards. So little things like that, man, it really makes you feel good. And then, of course, I shouldn't even talk about this, the magazines, my crazy book. Funny part of my early career, I worked on 3 different boats early in my career that were owned by insurance companies. Back then, I was a liability. I couldn't even spell it. So who knew I'd end up being in the insurance business? But back when I was young, all I wanted to do was to fish, pay my bills, and be happy. I didn't care about money. I knew I wouldn't want to be a Heisinger or anything like that. And who knew where it'd lead me to today? It's crazy. You know, you live your life to the fullest, you follow passion, and then you give back to this great sport we all love. It's pretty damn special. Yes, I've been lucky enough to have some great crew like Trevor Cocker, who you took over the operation for me and caught about another 100 world records. But great wiremen, Scott Levin, he wired for me. He got pulled over the side a couple times wiring fish, so he can tell you stories. Trevor, you got pulled over once too. I think I got the record for wiremen pulled over, fishing light tackle, but they all came back. When Trevor got pulled over, he was going through the water, and all of a sudden, he's tangled up. Something's wrong. Back to drag off. We got to get the body back. And so then he finally releases, and he swims back to the boat so fast. I go, Trevor, what happened? He goes, well, it felt pretty cool. And then I remembered it was a shark. Oh, that was a pretty funny one. And then Dave Cochran, he's here tonight. He was one of my other deckhand engineers. So thank you guys for coming. Deborah, thank you for putting that all together. That was awesome, getting all the guys to come. Last but not least, my beautiful daughter, Nikki, flew in and surprised me today. And Deborah, thanks for pushing this guy all the way from Fort Lauderdale up here, and thanks for all your support for 25 years. We've been married. Thank you, Deborah Todd. Last but not least, here's to picking up a damn rod and reel out of the rod holder and getting your ass kicked the right way. Let's catch them the right way. Doesn't hell with these electric reels and crap.
Proud to know you, Cap.
We did it. Good speech. Great speech. First time.
I could listen to these guys.
My first time.
Really?
Let's take one over here with Roy. Okay, so.
Yeah, take it easy getting down.
Thank you, everybody.
You know, as I listen to these stories, I'm thinking Millhouse has got a lot of material here. If you haven't tapped it all, I listen to it. I've heard a lot of these stories. It's a good podcast. Our final inductee this evening, I think they saved this gentleman for last because I heard he's very shy and doesn't like to talk. Our final inductee is Captain Richard Stanczyk. He's a man whose visionary journey didn't just transform offshore fishing, but opened entirely new horizons for thousands on the water. Rising from humble beginnings with a cane pole, Richard's relentless curiosity and brilliant, innovative spirit didn't just lead him in pioneering daytime sword fishing. It fundamentally redefined the sport, leaving an indelible, inspiring mark through his dedication. Captain Richard Stanczyk's legacy is rooted in passion, mentorship, and a lifelong commitment to preserving the soul of sport fishing. Let's take a closer look.
Captain Richard Stanczyk's journey into sport fishing began with a cane pole in St. Louis, Missouri, and grew into a legacy that transformed offshore fishing and inspired thousands to embrace life on the water. He often credits his grandfather for planting the seed. One day, walking around a small lake, his grandfather proudly showed off a bluegill catch. That moment became the anchor for a life defined by passion, mentorship, and unwavering dedication to the ocean. Though Richard earned an accounting degree from the University of Miami, he quickly realized fluorescent lights and ledgers couldn't compete with the pull of a fish or the salt in the air. After long hours in a small office with bars on the window, he reached a breaking point. He picked up the phone, called his mother, and said, "I can't do this anymore." Against the advice of many, including his tearful mother, he walked away from the profession his grandfather had helped him achieve, chasing a dream most considered uncertain. That decision led to years of bold ventures, running a bar and restaurant in Miami, investing in oil fields in Kentucky, even living in Alaska. But fishing was always at the center. By age 15, Richard had run a boat to Bimini on his own. At 19, he caught his first blue marlin off the Bahamas with only a compass, a homemade rig, and no GPS or radio. He slept beside that fish in his boat, afraid he might lose it if the boat sank overnight. That marlin became a symbol of raw determination and the beginning of a storied career. Richard's early days were shaped by curiosity and humility. He learned from legends like Captain Jimmy Albright, whose tough exterior masked a deep well of knowledge and discipline. He fished alongside icons like Captains Harold Adler and Vic Gaspeny, forming friendships that would span decades and help reshape saltwater angling in the Florida Keys. One of Richard's most significant contributions was pioneering daytime sword fishing. While he humbly says, "We didn't discover it, we innovated it," the impact is undeniable. What began in Venezuela, Richard and his team adapted for the challenging waters off Isla Mirada. After years of trial and error, the breakthrough came. In just 2 days, they released 11 broadbills. The technique was later featured in Sport Fishing magazine's cover story, Swordfish Shocker. Swordfish became accessible to a new generation, and the Keys would never be the same. But perhaps Richard's greatest legacy isn't a record or a rig. It's Bud and Mary's Marina. Originally a customer there in the 70s, Richard fell in love with the place long before he imagined owning it. When a deal fell through, he took a leap of faith and purchased the marina, without a business partner and with no guarantee of success. What he built was a haven, a place where captains could build careers, where kids could grow into guides, and where fishing remained authentic and rooted in tradition. Over nearly 5 decades, Bud and Mary's has become a cornerstone of the Keys' sport fishing identity. Richard fondly calls it B&M University, a place where young anglers, dockhands, and mates learn more than fishing. They learn integrity, humility, and resilience. As Richard often says, I can teach someone how to fish, but I can't teach them character. That belief shaped a culture. He raised his sons Nick and Rick on those same docks. He never pushed them into fishing. They chose it. Today, both are exceptional anglers and professionals, bringing new energy and vision to the family legacy. Through it all, Richard has remained grounded in his original purpose, to preserve the experience of fishing. Yes, the fisheries have changed, technology is different, and the challenges ahead, habitat loss, overfishing, climate impacts, are real. But Richard believes in mentorship. His advice to young anglers is simple. If it's in your blood, you'll find your way. For his lifelong dedication to innovation, mentorship, conservation, and his unshakable belief in the soul of sport fishing, the IGFA is proud to welcome Captain Richard Stanczyk into the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.
Richard, join me on stage to accept this honor. Congratulations, my friend. Take your time.
Take my time. I thought I had 3 minutes.
As much as you want.
Oh, geez. You know, how am I going to follow Andy Mills, Skip Smith? My God. You know, it is a funny story, though. Actually, around the Marina, I have quite a reputation. Actually, they call me Ledge, which is short for legend. My son gave it to me. The way I got that, I always had my picture taken a lot of times holding really big fish that other people caught. You know, I want to start out though, seriously. I really want to thank my beautiful wife, Joanne Aramondi, because I promise you that I would not be standing here tonight if it wasn't for her. Now, the reason for that, I'm 80 years old. I don't use computers. There's no way in the world I could have gotten tickets to Springfield, Missouri without my wife. And she cautioned me, by the way, Richard, you have no filter. Be careful what you're going to say. And the other weird thing is I noticed everybody had this script up here, you know. Everybody's been telling me, Richard, you got to prepare for this, you got to prepare for this. And somebody else said, it'll just come to you when you get up there. Well, I could just stand here for about 5 or 10 minutes. It's not coming. It's not coming to me, trust me. Anyway, I got to start somewhere. You know, the irony here is everything I was going to talk about, they just showed over there. So, you know, I'm gonna to be honest with you, I do want to thank the IGFA. I certainly want to thank Johnny Morse. I had a very strange thing. When my kids, Ricky and Nick, were little, I took them to Disney World. And I can remember it like yesterday. I lost the kids. So today, I've never been here, and I came into this fabulous place, and we walked all through it, and they lost me. I could not find my way out of here. I don't know if you guys have done this. But you know, I do have one Johnny Morris story. And I'll be honest, I could not imagine any human being or Bass Pro Shops, anything that elevated, you know, the sport fishing more so than they did. But about 1979, there's a kid, he's a grown man now, Alex Adler. He runs a boat called a Kalex at the Marina. So Alex comes to me one day. You know, I used to take Alex fishing. It's a funny story about him. He was about 11 years old when I met him. I actually met his dad, which is how I got to Bud and Mary's. He used to live in Miami Beach, And I went over and I would pick him up and tell his mother we're going to go fish and not be back until the middle of the night. Well, I would drop Alex off at the bridge. I'd go out and party all night long, come back, pick him up, and his mother never knew the difference. But anyway, he comes to me one day and he said, you know, there's this gentleman, and believe it or not, this gentleman's born in Missouri, which is Springfield. I'm from St. Louis. He'd like to meet you. I said, all right. So he brought him in there, and I sat down with Johnny, a really humble gentleman, and he begins to tell me this story. And he's got these little, pamphlets and videotapes, and he's telling me this story about all his plans and all he wants to do. And I'll never forget it, because as he walked out of my office, I thought to myself, what is this guy smoking? Look at this, look at this. Anyway, the story about my grandfather, that's all true. By the way, my father was an Olympian. He won the Olympics in 1948, silver in 52. So my mom and him were both traveling, and when I was young, I was, pretty much raised by my grandpa. As I told you, the first fish I ever caught, I remember seeing that bobber go under, and from that minute, I was pretty well hooked. It was kind of ironic because my grandfather, and I never recognized it until years later, did something for me that was, I can't really explain. He would come down 2 months a year to Missouri, or to Florida from Missouri. I can remember being in grade school. He'd come pick me up after school. We'd go fishing. And he bought me all the boats I ever had. Started out with an 8-foot pram and a 1938 Evinrude. Had to wrap the string around it. But when he was dying, late 60s, now this is the guy that was a businessman and insisted I go to school. I went to the University of Miami, became an accountant. So I went up to, I think it was Queenie Hospital in St. Louis. My grandpa was there, and he's got this thing in his throat. He can't talk. He's got a blackboard. And I went up there and I said, I'm going to tell my Grandpa, you know what? I graduated UM. I'm with a CPA firm. What do you think about that? And he picked up a blackboard and he wrote on it, why the hell do you want to do that? That changed my life forever. And by the way, no offense to you guys if you're any accountants out here. Okay. But I could, all I could say is, Grandpa, look where the hell I wound up. But anyway, if there's no way that I could bring all the people that are responsible for me being here up on this stage. I was very blessed to have bought Bud and Mary's Marina, and a lot of people know that. And the guides, and there's still 45 captains to this day, that operate out of there. The Jimmy Albrights, the Cecil Keiths, Skip Nielsen's, the Alex Adlers, and all the rest. My brother, by the way, Scott Stanczyk, which I will get to. So I really don't know how to even explain it. But one of the things I get the biggest kick out of, there's a couple little kids that are now guides there. They're the Rosses. Well, their father, Paul Ross, I used to carry him with me down to Mexico. And his father was one of my best friends and helped me out in the beginning of the charter business. That's 3 generations. Yes, we call it Bud and Mary's University. And many of the kids that started out there washing boats worked their way up to the bridge and what have you. And they're fishing all over the world. Something I really am proud about. But I do want to go back. There's some people here with me. And there is one person I want to mention first, and that's my brother, Captain Scott Stanczyk, who, now, when Scott was 11 years old, it was his birthday, and I took a bunch of my friends, and I remember the bamboo outriggers and the little 6.0 reels, and we're trolling off Oliver Inlet on the Blue Edge that actually used to be there in those days. So I put him in a lawn chair, and I handed him a little 4.0, and it was a double-hooked ballyhoo rig. And, of course, we're sitting there trolling along, and a white marlin came up, grabbed the right rigger. Naturally, my friends and I missed that, and grabbed the left rigger. We missed that. And all of a sudden, I hear this little kid yell out, I think I got something. Well, it was Scott. He hooked this white marlin. He landed it. So we carried him in, wanted a picture, went to Holiver Docks. And as we pulled into the dock, the little kid sticks his hand over and he crushes his finger. So I had to rush him to the hospital, get the finger, fixed. And there's a picture, we keep it at the Marina, of a white marlin that looked like it was severely sunburned. It was all dried out. And there's my brother with his hand behind his back. Well, anyway, I'm 13, 14 years older. I took off, and my mom said, you broke your brother's heart. So he shows up down the Marina, very, very shortly after I bought the Marina. And of course, we have a boat called a Catch-22, which he runs. Well, from me taking him fishing a few times when he's young, he has paid me back for 40-something years running that boat. Now, my kids and their friends all grew up on that boat. My younger son, Nick Stanczyk, Captain Nick Stanczyk, he's probably more famous than Forrest Gump, for God's sakes. But I can remember, I know you guys are familiar with the Miami Metropolitan Tournament. So we get together, my brother, myself, and Nick decides he wants to win this tournament. And I'm not sure. I think he won 22 divisions and also junior master angler. It makes a big statement about sport fishing because this is an opportunity where my family came together and we're all involved in this thing. Of course, my son Nick has, gone on to travel most all over the world, taking a sword fishing thing somewhere where I never would have taken it. I have other people. I want to mention, by the way, I mentioned my older son. I'll be honest with you, he's one of the best fishermen I've ever fished with in my life. About 10 days ago, Ricky's his name, Captain Rick Stanczyk. I'm 80 years old. And Skip, by the way, I got sciatica. I go to acupuncture once a week and I get injections. I was going to ask you to borrow that chair, but I think I'm going to get through this. But it was 5 o'clock in the morning. We're in a 23-foot contender. My son goes to the trouble of putting a beanbag chair in that boat. And I was laying on my back, traveling across Florida Bay, 40 miles an hour, looking up at the stars. There was no moon. And I thought to myself, how is this kid running that boat back there, 40, 50 miles an hour? We get back all the way in the back country, and the sun rises, and we fish, and we catch some big fish. And I realized this boy gives up a charter every week to take his dad fishing. And I don't know how to repay that, But it's very special. I don't want to leave anybody out of this thing. But it takes a lot to run Bud and Mary's Marina. It's funny, I'm going to talk about my daughter-in-law, Elizabeth Baxter, who I remember catching. She caught her first blue marlin 450-pounder one time down in Turks and Caicos. By the way, has given me two of the most incredible grandsons in the world. That's a funny story, though. One of the grandsons asked me, he says, Papa, you going to get any money for this induction in this Hall of Fame? I said, no, we're not going to get any money. I said, listen to me. You go into Football Hall of Fame, you're going to get some money. You're going to be pretty wealthy. Baseball, you're going to be more wealthy. Now, tennis and golf, you're going to be super wealthy. To get in the Hall of Fame of sport fishing, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Now, these guys stole a lot of that from me. That was my original. But it's funny. One of the other things, I've been blessed. I've got Elizabeth Sailors back there. She manages the marina. I got Laney, who's not here, who I wish she was. And I'm very blessed. I travel over I got a place in the Abacos where we bone fish. And, they got nannies for the kids, So I have these young women around me, Laney, Elizabeth, all the rest. They're referred to as Grampy nannies. So our last trip over to Cherokee, which is one of my favorite places in the world, Laney, myself, and I'm not going to leave her out, my daughter-in-law, Sarah Stanczyk. We actually caught 110 bonefish, if you can imagine that. We caught them on bait. No offense, Andy Mill. But you know, I used to use a fly rod, believe it or not, but people bug me all the time now because I go out and stake up and I catch them and the guides all are upset over it. And I always tell them the same thing, man, anybody can catch a fish when you're looking at it, for God's sakes. I catch them, you know, right there staked up in the boat. So I've been blessed, you know, to be surrounded by people that, you know, wait a second, wait, I did bring notes. I'm gonna open this because I forget somebody. Let me make sure I don't, they're not sophisticated like yours, Skip, but they're a short, I put these glasses on. Did I thank the IGFA? I did. And I talked about my wife, I talked about Johnny Morris, talked about my grandpa, talked about the 46 guides. And again, I talked about my brother, Captain Scott Stanczyk. Okay. One other person I need to talk about, Vic Gaspenny. He's one of the legendary guides. Believe it or not, this guy, this is a funny story. You know, it's the odd couple. Years ago, I decided I want to become a fly fisherman and fish the International Bonefish Tournament with a fly rod. Now, I've never had a fly casting lesson, and to this day, I still can't cast. But I didn't want to pick one of these hot shots like Steve Huff, so I pick a guy, you know, Kenny Knutson, never caught a bonefish on a fly rod. Well, the deal is, if I had the wind on this side and the fish 30 feet in front of me, I might have a shot at this damn thing, you know. And believe it or not, in one of those years, 87, whatever it is, I actually won the damn thing. And it was funny because one of the things I felt best about was I was ahead of Steve Huff. Now, nobody's going to believe this, but when we were 13 years old, I met him. We were in 7th grade together. We walked home every day. We joined a little organization called the Sea Explorers. I was kicked out. I'm not in the class picture, you are. Anyway, I had this little fiberglass boat, and Steve and I rowed out to the end of Biscayne Canal. And it may have been the first time he ever saw a tarpon. Of course, when I got down to Bud Mary's in 1978, by then he was a fishing legend, you know. But anyway, getting back to Vic Gaspenny, and I can't really brag about all these big fish, but one of the things I did do, I guided Vic to a world record on a fly rod. I'll never forget that because we had just got done fishing this tournament, and we have these boxes you put the fish in, and it's a big fish, and it's funny because Vicky, I said, well, he said, Richard, you know, here's the deal. I pull Vic around all year, and he pulls me to practice for this tournament. So now it's my turn to pull him, and he said, take me somewhere there was some fish, and I got this weird idea. I'm going to go way back where I've never even been, and we catch this damn world record fish. As soon as I put it in the box, I knew it. Called George Hummel. He came down and weighed the thing. Now, Vic, you're never going to believe it, 10,000 bonefish, 10,000 tarpon. He's got a ledger with every single fish, time of day, wind direction, unbelievable. Everything written down. He's the most scientific fisherman I ever know in my life. Me, when I go fishing, it's like put my finger in the air and how do I feel, where should I go? So Vic, if you're listening, which you're not, but I'm going to tell you about it, all the great fish you ever caught, it was my idea. But it was his idea to do the swordfish thing because he knew this guy. Venezuela, Reuben Hines. So yeah, we didn't really invent daytime sword fishing, but we did kind of innovate it here. It's a funny story. My brother, myself, my son Nick, we went out there and Vic convinced me. So we took a concrete block and a 10-0 reel with mono on it. I suggested we put snag hooks on there in case. We drop it to the bottom in 1,500 feet of water. We're sitting there for a couple hours. My brother's looking at me like, are you crazy? What are we doing out here? We couldn't reel it up. So we're hand lining it. It's a little bit heavy, you know. Cut it off. Let's go in. This is crazy. Because, you know, it's current. It's difficult. Well, we hand line that darn thing up, and sure enough, there's a 60-pound swordfish wrapped up in the form for the snag hooks. By the way, we wouldn't have caught the thing, which that led to the whole swordfish deal. You know, let me see here. I might have somebody else. Oh, yes. Captain Charlie Cluck. Oh, my God. We met in high school. He's got a nickname, Fast Charlie. Here's how we met. University of Miami. I didn't like school, but I was good at certain things, math classes. I'm sitting here. He's sitting there, and there's a really smart girl on the other side. Charlie nudges me and says, "You don't mind if I copy your answers, do you?" I guess not, you know. Final exam comes along. I'm missing a few answers. The girl on the other side gives him the answers. He scored a higher test than me. But we've been together all our lives, literally. And I ended up getting really lucky. I had a guy named Bob Lewis who I knew really well through bowling. And I wanted to go into charter boat business. I didn't have a license. And Bob said, well, we went down to Pier 5, there's a 48-foot Carolina boat. It belonged to a guy named Jim Knight, I don't know if you know that name. Miami Herald, you know, night newspaper. I'll never forget it because he wanted to know who is going to own his boat. Well, I went down to Miami Herald, went up there, and this guy's got khaki clothes. I'm looking around like this place. I had no idea who the hell I'm talking about, and he wanted to talk to me about who owns his boat. I'm this young kid with his passion to fish. He wanted $80,000 for this boat. I had 20. I went home, I was dejected, and I went over to Charlie's house, walked into his house, and I'll never forget it. His mom said, "Stanczyk, how much you need?" She wrote me a check right there, no questions asked. So again, without Charlie, I'm not standing here. Without Vic, without my brother, all the rest of the other people here.
I love your stories. Congratulations. I would love to. I'm going to come visit you, but married. All right, let's have a picture down here with the chairman. Yeah.
Let me come down here too. I got to watch my legs.
Okay, be careful here.
What do you think, Andy? Another hell yeah? Quite an evening, huh? Congratulations to all the inductees. Before you leave, we want to get you all up here to have a group photo. I've been told for those who want to leave, the buses are probably out there waiting. It's been an incredible evening. It's been an incredible honor for me to be able to share it with you. I could listen to these stories all night long. Congratulations to all the people who were inducted into the class of 2025 IGFA Hall of Fame. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's dead, Mike. What?
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, the buses are ready to leave. We ran a little late, so if you want to take a bus back to the Vandervoort, there's 4 buses outside. And we'll see you over there at the after party upstairs.